adore. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him, Christ the Lord. Sing that again. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him, Christ the Lord. For He alone is worthy. For He alone is worthy. For He alone is worthy. Christ the We'll give Him all the glory. We'll give Him all the glory. We'll give Him all the glory. Christ the We'll give Him all the glory. We'll give Him all the glory. Christ the Lord.
Unto us a child is born, unto all of us, unto the widow, unto the homeless, the addict, the AIDS patient, unto us the football captain and the drag queen, unto us the politician, the factory blue collar, us the single mother, the crack baby, and unto us the affluent suburbanite, unto us the goth, the hippie, the rocker, the alternative and underground, unto us in Hollywood and on Madison Avenue, and unto all of us in between, unto us in the gutters of Calcutta, unto the Muslim and the Jew, the Buddhist, the Krishna and the Hindu, unto us the fatherless, unto the heavenly fatherless. For unto us a child is born, a son is given, and a secret revolution begun. This is what the prophets had been preparing for. They said His name would be most beautiful wisdom, the highest of heaven's secrets. His name would be the God who continually bends over backwards for you, the God who gets down on His hands and knees, the God who would become silly and misunderstood, the God who would be mocked, the God whose name would be taken in vain. He would be called the God of underdogs, the God of the powerless and unspiritual, the God of those who cannot pray or fast. And there would be no end to Him and His underdog weaklings or their secret. There would be no end even while the nations continue to rage on, even as ethnos rises against ethnos, even as valleys are filled with dead bones and rivers run with blood, even as violence runs through our streets and schools and hearts, covering us like a thick fog. Even in this dark land of weak people, the God who bends over backwards will shine forth like a great light as the dawning of a new day, letting His secret spread forth with healing and joy. Drop the mirror and let it shatter. Crush the hourglass and stop the clock's ticking. Stand still, hold your breath, anticipate, imagine your wildest dreams. Sell everything and buy the farm. Come with me, cover your eyes and hold out your hands. Stop your weeping, stop your groans, the fast is over. Let the celebration begin. The Father has come, He has sent His Son. Unto us He has been born, even unto us.
Christmas time is here, and the songs and the lyrics to those songs make us feel a certain kind of way, don't they? It's the happiness and the joy and the memories, and it's not just the kids who call this their favorite time of year. If we're being honest with each other, we adults, we identify with that too. There's something about Christmas time that makes us more aware of time. The other night I was down in our storage room putting away all my hunting equipment and clothes, and I was picking up the place, and I came across a box of pictures that my mother gave me. It's a box of pictures that date from 1983 to 1995. And I found pictures of my brother and me at Christmas when we were children. And I felt like Chevy Chase in the Christmas Vacation looking at those pictures. I was in this emotional, weird headspace because I realized that my kids were the same age that I was in those pictures, and that I was the same age that my father was in those pictures. There is something about Christmas that makes us more aware of the passage of time. It makes us more aware of the clock. The clock has often been used as an illustration for God, faith, and how God may work in our life. There was a theologian in the 1800s by the name of William Paley, and in his book, Natural Theology, he argues for the existence of God. And in the book he said, imagine walking across a field with some friends, and as you walk across the field, you come across a priceless pocket watch that is hidden in the grass of the field. You pick it up and you see all the intricate and amazing details that this pocket watch has on it. And he says, now imagine that you ask your friends, I wonder who made this watch. Paley says that it's doubtful that your friends would say, nobody made it, it's always just been in this field. You see, you know that there's too much design on that pocket watch and too much purpose for it. He says, for there to be a watch, there needs to be a watchmaker. There's evidence in the pocket watch for an intelligent design. Now, I don't know what you believe about God or how we came to be here or how everything came about. Regardless, I think we all can agree that it is amazing that we are here. I mean, it's a miracle. I mean, think about this. Right now, we are on a giant ball of dirt and rock, spinning 1,000 miles per hour, flying around a ball of fire that is 1,000,000 times our size at 67,000 miles an hour. And we're all over here like, man, she's a beaut, Clark. Pass me the eggnog. Our universe is finely tuned for life, all the way down to you. You've got this design and this purpose in your DNA, and it's running through your veins. But here's where the clockmaker analogy breaks down. God didn't make the world like a clock in which He designs it, winds it up, and then stands off in a distance to watch how things will play out. No. He is intimately involved. He's got His sleeves rolled up, and He loves us and is intimately involved in each and every one of our lives. And that is the glory of Christmas. That is the Christmas message, that God came near, that God sent His Son, Emmanuel, to be with us. Listen, God is not a clockmaker. He is a way maker. Come on now, church. That was a good one. No matter where you're watching from, can I get an amen? I mean, you could write that one down. Jesus came to make a way for us to be right with Him, and His timing is perfect. In Galatians, it says this, but when the set time had fully come, God sent His Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption as sons and daughters. Did you catch that? The translation says that at just the right time. Now, I don't know that it felt like just the right time that first Christmas night. You see, the Roman Empire oppressed Israel. And Israel would be praying for a Messiah, a deliverer, a king that would set them free. And 700 years before all this even took place, the prophet Micah, he writes these words, "But you, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, through you, a small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be the ruler over Israel, whose origins are from old, from ancient times." He says that the Messiah will be born in Bethlehem, the city of David, the city where King David was born. Now here's the crazy thing. Mary and Joseph had no business being in Bethlehem for Jesus' birth, except that Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus called for a census, which meant that Joseph would have to go back to his hometown. And where's his hometown? It's in Bethlehem. So it just so happens that they are in Bethlehem, just in time for Mary's due date because of a census. Now they get to Bethlehem late at night and the town is packed and Mary is having contractions and they have nowhere to stay. Every hotel has the no vacancy neon light flashing in the window. So Mary ends up giving birth to Jesus, the Messiah, in a cave surrounded by animals. She wraps him in clothes and places him in a manger, a feeding trough. Jesus was born in Bethlehem at just the right time. Now, at the same time, there are some shepherds, and they're in the fields where they should be tending to their sheep. And an angel comes to them and says, "It's going to be a sign for you. You're going to Bethlehem, and there you'll find the Messiah, a baby, wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." Now, who puts the Messiah in a manger in Bethlehem? Well, it's like finding a precious pocket watch in the middle of a field. And the shepherds get there at just the right time. Now, when we take a step back and when we give a fresh reading to the Christmas story, what we see is God's timeline. All the details and the intricacies and the prophecies, they all come together at this single event to tell us how God has been working behind the scenes all along. And all throughout history, God has been working and bringing these things together for this moment, the arrival of Christ. God shows up at just the right time. So, what does this teach us about time in our own lives? What does this teach us about the time today? It teaches us that we can trust God's timing. Because God is never late, He is rarely early, but He's always on time. But if we are honest, that isn't how it feels. Most of the time, that's not how it feels in our life, especially at Christmas. And it doesn't feel right because, well, God's timing isn't our timing. God's ways are not our ways. I've heard it said this way: when you can't trust His hand, you can trust His heart. You can also trust His watch. You can trust His timing. He knows what He is doing. Now, this doesn't mean that your life is going to be safe and smooth sailing, or that this life will be comfortable and that it's going to be clear of obstacles. It doesn't mean that we will always like it or that it will be free of pain or free of disruptions to our plans and our dreams. No. But in the end, it will be worth it. Hear me in on this. It will be worth it. There will never be a moment where anybody who stands before the presence of God in heaven and as a follower of Jesus and the sacrifice that has been made would ever say, it wasn't worth it. It will be worth it. It will be worth the wait. And even as we wait, we don't wait alone. The glory of Christmas is Emmanuel, God who is with us. So even as we wait, God is with us. We can trust His timing. We can trust that God shows up. And this is the good news at Christmas because Christmas time can also be a reminder in our lives of things that haven't happened that you thought were going to happen by now, or things that you thought would have happened by now. Maybe you thought you'd be engaged by now or have kids by now. Maybe you thought that you would have a job by now or that promotion by now. Or maybe there is an empty chair at your Christmas table that is a reminder of what's been lost in your life. Emmanuel, God with us. You don't wait alone. Jesus is with us. Jesus is with you. He loves you and sees you. He knows you. He knows your pain and He knows your hurt, and He draws near to you. So when we suffer loss, or when we suffer trauma, or when we experience disappointment, it's really easy to get confused. And we can get confused about God's timing. And when we get confused about God's timing, then we get confused about our worth. Which reminds me about a story of a dying father who called his son to his bedside. And the father gave his son an old pocket watch and told him that your great-great-grandfather gave him this watch, and it's more than 200 years old. But before I give it to you, I want you to take it to the watch shop down the street and ask the owner what price he would be willing to pay for this pocket watch. Well, the son came back and said, Dad, he said he would only pay $5 because it's old and it's scratched. And the father says, go to the coffee shop. Ask the owner what he would be willing to pay for it. So he went to the coffee shop and he hurried back and said, Dad, he didn't have much use for it, and he said that he would pay $3. The father said, now go to the museum and show them the watch. So he ran off and he returned back quickly with a look of amazement. And he said, Father, the curator of the museum told me that he would give me $1 million for this pocket watch. And the father laid his head back on the pillow and he closed his eyes. And he said, I wanted you to experience for yourself, son, that at the right place and with the right people, they will value you in the right way. You can't go to the wrong place with the wrong people to find your value. If you want to know your value, if you need to be reminded of your value this Christmas, look to the manger. Go to Jesus. Go to the right place with the right person. I mean, we sing the song, till He appeared and the soul felt its worth. Your worth is in God. It's not that you're worthy on your own. It's just that you don't find worth in your job. You don't find worth in your accomplishments. You don't find worth based on what's parked in your garage or the neighborhood that your home is located in. No, you need to know that your worth comes from God. You are worth Jesus to God. You are worth God sending His Son to find your value. To find your value, look to the manger. But don't stop there. Look to the cross. Romans chapter 5 says, you see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. Very rarely anyone died for the righteous person, though for a good person, someone might possibly dare to die, but God demonstrated His own love for us in this, that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. Did you see that? At just the right time. Jesus was born at just the right time. He went to the cross at just the right time. And you are hearing this message at just the right time. God's timing is perfect. And listen, we demonstrate the things that we value in this life by the sacrifices that we're willing to make for them. So if someone says that they love you and they never sacrifice anything for you, you have every reason to question. But on the other hand, the one who gave his life for you tells you that he loves you by laying his life down and by making that sacrifice so that you can be forgiven, redeemed, and restored, so that you can have a new heart and in the end, be at peace with God. So that you can be the child of the living God. And maybe you've been scrambling and running to all the wrong places and all the wrong people to find your worth, and it has left you empty and feeling less than enough. Today I want you to go to the right place and the right person to find your value. Look to Jesus. He is worthy of your life, and He alone is worthy of your love and worthy of your trust. The Bible has this phrase, today is the day of salvation. So just tell Him it's the right time, because, well, we don't know how many days we will get. It's the right time. In fact, you can offer up a prayer to God. You can pray, Jesus, I give my life up to you. I place my faith and my trust and my hope in you. I receive forgiveness in my life and a new heart within. If you pray a prayer like that, it's the most important prayer you'll ever pray. See, Christmas is a time for a lot of things, but I can't imagine a better time for finding your value and finding your worth in God's Son, Emmanuel. There's not anything more priceless than that. That is why we celebrate today. It's why we celebrate by coming to the table to feast on the promise, and why we celebrate with the lighting of the candles, because the light of the world is here, and we celebrate our Savior's birth. Merry Christmas.
Go on and scream it from the mountains. Go on and tell it to the masses. He is God. Shout it. Go on and scream it from the mountains. Go on and tell it to the masses. He is God. And we will sing out hallelujah, and we will cry out hallelujah, and we will sing out hallelujah. Shout, go on and scream it from the mountains. Go on and tell it to the masses. He is God.
One more time, just our voices, shout it.
Shout it. Go on and scream it from the mountains. Go on and tell